Welcome, everyone, and thank you for being with us. Before I start to teach again my 6-week-long online course called Unleashing Your Authentic Feminine Voice or Power and Impact, I would like to bring some more voices to the space, the voices of my students. Michelle Fitos, thank you for being here with me, and thank you from the bottom of my heart for accepting this invitation, because you know this course very well because you have done it twice.
Yeah.
So thank you for being here and telling some words about it. First question, how are you today?
Good. A little tired from traveling, but very happy to be here talking to you.
Thank you. And I forget to mention that you're a psychotherapist and neuroscientist, so your work is around that, and you do a lot of discovery in this field. So my first question would be, what kind of issues or problems you had with your voice or expressing through your voice before we worked together?
That's okay. That's an interesting question because it's not exactly like I had a problem expressing myself through my voice. I've already spoken a lot at various whatever. But the real problem was that I used to be a professional musician when I was like 18. Yeah, 18 through 20 years old. And at the time, I think, as many of us do, I did it because I was good at it, and the adults in my life found it valuable, and it was a way to get positive adult reinforcement. But really, I put it down and never came back because I realized that the part of me that was doing that needed to find some other way of getting what I needed. But the interesting thing was that in the first course, I felt it was like I was adjusting to the safety of the space, right, in the first course. And in the second one, I felt like it was possible to enjoy singing again in a way that I haven't for, I don't know, more than half of my life, another 28 years, almost 30 years.
It's a very strong statement for me, because it seems for me like you buried a part of you who sang before, who was singing before, and then you came back and you started to sing. And I remember in the first course you were more in your shell, and in the second one you just went to the fun exercises and to all the exercises, and I was like, wow, you're crystal clear when you sing. Wow. It was like, so it's a beautiful process to witness. So thank you for it.
Oh, so much fun. Thank you.
Yeah. And there was another thing that you told me, and this is leading us to the second question, that what kind of transformation had occurred as we did the program. This is one of it. But also there is a practice in the course which called Auditive Soul Hunting. They become wolves and crying babies and wolves who woo to the moon, and cave people who are telling the story of a successful hunt. So we have done all these sometimes crazy like voice exercises. And you said a very beautiful thing for me after this, that you told me that most of your transformation happened through psychedelics, or I think that was what you said, but this was something with the same depth. Can you tell me more about that?
Yes, I can. Well, that deserves a few more words, I think. My experience with psychedelic experiences is that and I feel like I need to explain this, especially in a context where Hungarian people may be listening, because it's such a foreign topic here, really. But the way that psychedelic substances work is not necessarily it's not necessarily recreational. There are different ways that you can do anything, right? But the way that I'm talking about requires preparation, it requires support, it requires a good setting, it requires therapeutic integration afterward.
That's it.
But in those circumstances, and this is now the neuroscientist in me speaking, there's a part of our brain, well, it's not even a part, it's a way that our brain works that creates ourself so that we know who we are from moment to moment. And during a psychedelic experience, you can see on an MRI, this part goes cold. It just It stops. And so we have a few minutes or a few hours where we are not, our brain is not so busy creating who we are and what we do and what we like and the ways we habitually act, right?
Yeah,
And
it gives me tears, and like I feel my
no,
chest. I feel it in my chest. So good. Go ahead. It's so good.
yeah. And then also, of course, because of the nature of the substances, you can also have some really wild and mystical experience and meet parts of yourself that you've never met. And this is where the soul hunting felt very familiar, because the safety of the course gave me the space for this very busy part of my mind to quiet down and relax. And then the soul hunting experience was I guess it had the same feeling of being in a safe space and trying new ways of being.
Mm.
And then at the end, I mean, the hope is always that you can hang on to some of it for later and
Mm.
weave it into your ways of being who you are. And yes, it felt very much like that. It was safe and absolutely nuts. Yeah.
I'm just looking at you, and I remember you showing this. Whoa, how do you feel? And you showed me. Woo.
Yeah.
And so this is exactly what you are explaining here, that your brain is just functioning differently, and you give yourself permission to be something more, or maybe be
Yeah.
just who you are authentically without even thinking of it.
Right.
So
Exactly.
it was a very deep thing for me as well. And I have to say, it was the first time I was teaching this with your class, with the second one. So I just got to this before the class, and I have some contemporary shamanistic experience, but then I said to myself, but this is exactly what is happening here, that through the voice we diminish ourselves. We
Mhm.
say we cannot shout, we say we cannot show our upper teeth, and we cannot move our upper lips, or we cannot cry, or we cannot express anything through the voice. So we just stay silenced or muted, or
Mhm.
somehow smaller in the voice vocal expression. And so I told myself this could be a good tool, and it was, especially after you said this
Yes.
feedback.
Yeah.
And this, what you are saying, brings up for me a third thing, which you probably understand also very well, that in the end we always finishing the classes with self-lullaby.
Yeah.
And maybe I can give to the listeners a hint that me and you and me, we met through Gábor Máté, who's a dear friend of mine.
Yes.
And so that's how we were connected. And Gábor talks very much about this experience of him being with shamans in Peru. And then they were singing and humming for him, and he felt like a little child, and all the circuits were changing, like his
Yes.
whole body was relaxing. And I didn't know that. I just saw in one Tim Ferriss interview with him, but somehow I realized that this self lullaby, when everyone can just reparent themselves,
Yeah.
giving back this tenderness, which maybe we can't have when we were a child, is just a path to growth.
Yes, it is.
Because
Sometimes it takes a lot for us to be able to accept it, because of course children make sense of that in the way that it's about them, right? Like if my parents were not tender to me, it's because I'm
yeah,
not that kind of person, but having such a safe space makes it so possible to,
yeah,
it's like
and
the last piece of that big experience.
yeah, and also the singing and the humming. And so it's
Mhm.
pretty it might be challenging for some of you, because first, oh, it's just a lullaby, hush, lullaby, don't you cry. And then I ask you to sing your own name to it, which,
Yeah.
as we are both mothers, so it's like, if it's for my own daughter, it's nothing special, but it's for me. Like,
Yes.
what do I sing it? Sweet Belle, sweet Michelle, and we don't used to love ourselves in that way.
Yeah.
And comes to a fourth thing, that when you create with voice, you can really, through the meaning of the voice, of the words, of the sung words, you can create things. You can create a new relationship between you and yourself.
Yeah.
And from the other side of the camera, that's what I feel when I teach you, that all of you just going into this new fields of tenderness and a new level of love, self-love.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Well, yeah, well, from the other side too, it felt very much like that.
Thank you, Michelle. It's really an honor to talk to you. Is there anything else you would like to share with our listeners or from your experience?
You know, I can say, I don't think I've ever told you this. I was at a concert of yours once on the A38 with my cousin, or with my husband's cousin, and you were singing, and it was just after your divorce. And it was raw and it was amazing. And I thought, oh my God, this person is an incredible human being. And you know what? It is absolutely true. And you bring this energy of expression and release and self-love into everything that you do. And it is such a deeply human thing, and it's a gift. And I'm glad that you share it so freely. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle, for saying that. Thank you. It's a lesson of receiving this, and you see, that's why I can receive it. So thank you for saying it, and thank you for being with us and with me in the big group and then in the second group. So you really meant a lot to me, and your comments and your feedback and your whole presence and so deep understanding of this material. So thank you for sharing your light and your thoughts here with me and with us.
Thank you.
Big love hugging to you. And don't forget your self-lullaby in the end of the day.
Not at all. Thank you so much, Bea.
Thank you, Michelle.
Bye.
Bye.